Vegas probably doesn't realize that betraying the trust and love of tourists can hurt the city this much. Las Vegas was once a place people went to escape reality, a place where a few dollars could buy a feeling of victory, even if only for a fleeting moment. People come here from all over the United States, bringing with them dreams, faith, and sometimes even naivety. They were willing to pay a premium for a night of luxury, because at least Vegas once gave them something life outside couldn't. The feeling of truly living, of being free, and of taking risks without too much sacrifice. But then everything changed. Hidden resort fees, tripled meal prices, deteriorating service, and the welcome disappearing. The city, once known as paradise for everyone, is now only for the wealthy, while middle-class tourists who nurtured it for decades are quietly leaving. No protests, no declarations. Their revenge took the simplest form: never returning. The house always wins, but it's the tourists who keep the house alive. And now they're using that power to make Vegas pay. In today's video, let's take a look back at what really happened to Las Vegas. Why has a city once considered a symbol of freedom and prosperity become the place tourists want to avoid most in the United States? Is this the inevitable consequence of greed? Or just the collapse cycle of an American dream that has expired? Let's go find the truth together in the next 24 minutes. If you're like most Americans, you probably still have vivid memories of old Las Vegas. There was a time when you could enjoy a full 5-day vacation here for just $300. A $39 hotel room, $5.99 breakfast, free show tickets, and cocktails always delivered to your table with a genuine smile. For just a few dollars in tips, the server will keep coming back, making you feel like a special guest. Vegas back then wasn't the city of extravagance, but the city of faith and generosity, where even small amounts of money could create big memories. But those days are long gone. $300 now isn't even enough to rent a modest room, let alone eat or have fun. Vegas calls it the new tradition, a tradition where every experience is itemized on a bill, as long as a drug instruction sheet. A hotel bill today is like an indictment, a resort fee of $40–60 per night for amenities few use, a parking fee of $30 per hour, something that was free for decades, and a glass of ordinary beer costing up to $15. A tourist recounted, "I only ordered 2 Mick Ultras at the bar and it cost me $30. The nightmare didn't stop there. The $10 tables, where millions once began their Vegas stories, have almost disappeared. Slot machines, which once brought hope, are now programmed to keep more and pay out less. Buffets, once a symbol of hospitality, now cost $50, but the quality is no different from before, and may even be worse. A room in Luxor now costs $200 to $300, and tickets to Cirque du Soleil are nearly $300, figures that leave middle-class tourists shaking their heads in dismay. According to the LVCVA Report 2025, the average resort cost in Vegas has increased by 26% compared to pre-pandemic levels, while hotel occupancy rates have decreased from 95% in 2019 to 66.7%. A clear paradox is revealed. Fewer guests, more empty rooms, yet prices are higher than ever. This is not a natural consequence of inflation. It is a deliberate price gouging strategy designed to squeeze every penny out of tourists. Imagine this. You book a room for $150 a night, thinking you've just found a bargain. But when you check out, the bill in front of you is as long as if you just bought a used car. Resort fees, taxes, parking fees, early check-in surcharges, late checkout surcharges, and even the tax on the resort fee itself, each item adding up to a staggering total. At some hotels, even opening the window to get some fresh air can result in an extra charge of $50. A legal scam, as many describe it, that no one can avoid. At the dinner table, the Vegas magic also disappeared. From 2015 to the present, Food prices here have increased by nearly 49%. The most lavish buffet at Caesar's Palace, which cost only $17 in 1994, has now risen to $6,100 per person. Even in the food court, a simple meal can cost $30–50. Just one bite in Vegas is enough to empty your wallet these days. What once made up the soul of the city, generosity, unexpected, gifts, and a sense of belonging, has been erased simply because it wasn't directly profitable on a spreadsheet. The Treasure Island Pirate Show, which once drew millions of visitors with its free outdoor performances, was shut down in 2013 to make way for a shopping mall. The Luxor Pyramid, a mysterious symbol of Egypt with its artificial Nile River, is now just a monotonous conference room. Vegas no longer makes memories, it only makes bills. The house always wins. But the truth is, Vegas is winning in a different game. Winning at losing the trust of tourists. This city has turned a promised land into a nightmare. A place where tourists no longer feel valued, but only tired, exploited, and disappointed. Vegas once lived on hope, that with just a little luck, anyone could win. But when everything is priced, hope also becomes a luxury item. That city of dreams is now learning a painful lesson. When trust is lost, no light can save the darkness. How can a city continue to exist if its foundations, fairness and hospitality, have been replaced by a profit and loss statement? And if Vegas was once the epitome of the American dream, is America today also gradually heading in the same direction? The past 9 months have likely been the most difficult period Las Vegas has ever experienced. It's so difficult that even those who survived the COVID era or the 2009 Great Recession have to admit, Vegas has never been emptier than it is right now. A city once called the city that never sleeps has suddenly sunk into a nightmare. Vegas used to be a story about opportunity. Legal casinos, low tax rates, and a piece of desert land transformed into a paradise of illusion. The legendary slogan, "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas," once made the whole world smile, because it encapsulated the belief that, at least in this place, anyone could live differently, even if only for a few short days. But today, what's happening in Vegas is no longer confined to the Nevada desert. It has spread beyond, becoming a shockwave that affects even those who had left. And ironically, the very 42 million visitors who once brought life to Vegas are now making the city feel the pain it inflicted upon itself. A janitor working on the strip said in frustration, "We used to be busy until 3 or 4 in the morning. Now it's about 1:30 and it's completely deserted. The city center is deserted." That saying might sound like just a lament at first, but it perfectly reflects what the numbers are proving. According to the LVCVA 2025 report, the number of visitors to Las Vegas has decreased significantly, from 41.7 million in 2019 to only 19.6 million in 2025. The number of flights landing at Harry Reid International Airport has decreased, and the number of vehicles from California has been cut by nearly half. Hotel occupancy rates, which used to be over 90% on weekends, have now dropped below 80%. The average length of stay decreased from 3 to 4 nights to 2, leading to a simultaneous collapse in revenue for all related industries, from restaurants and taxis to performing arts. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. With each guest who disappears, an entire domino effect unfolds. The servers' work, the drivers' tips, local tax revenue, all evaporate. A city that was once nourished by the joy of others is now slowly dying because it has lost that very smile. It's not hard to understand why. The tourists who once flocked to Vegas are now choosing a different path. They seek out Europe, South America, or Asia, where prices are more reasonable, service remains warm, and most importantly, where they still feel welcome. Meanwhile, Vegas, with its dazzling neon lights, the clatter of slot machines, and the familiar scent of casino perfume, is now just a remnant of a dream. What remains is a crushing fatigue, unreasonable prices, cold service, and an atmosphere so alien that even those who once loved this city feel they no longer belong. The scariest thing isn't that Vegas is more expensive or less fun, but rather that tourists no longer feel like winners when they leave here. They left feeling exploited, cheated, as if the whole game had been rigged from the start. Vegas is no longer a place that sells sweet illusions, but rather a place that collects money for expired dreams. Trust, which once brought millions back year after year, is fading. And when trust disappears, the drop in numbers is only a natural consequence. Vegas isn't just losing customers, it's losing its very reason for existing. A city once built on a sense of fun, freedom, and opportunity has now become a symbol of exhaustion, where everything is priced but nothing is valuable anymore. If even Las Vegas, a symbol of vibrancy and faith in the American dream, is gradually losing its appeal, where else in America can retain that belief for the generation that lived through the era of prosperity? But, perhaps, the cold numbers and the disappointing stories of tourists are only the beginning of the wound. Because behind that economic nosedive lies a much more painful truth. Vegas has betrayed its very soul. And in the next part, we'll delve into the question: why would a city built on joy be willing to sell everything, just for a few more lines of profit on the balance sheet? Las Vegas was once built on a simple but great idea. If you make others feel valued, they will come back. For decades, it was the city's golden rule, from free cocktails for players who only bet a few cents, to cheap but plentiful buffets and warm greetings that made visitors feel like they belonged here. But somehow, Vegas forgot about that. In the relentless race for profit, this city has transformed itself into a machine of greed, a perfectly functioning greed machine where every human emotion is reduced to a number. If old Vegas lived on emotion, then today's Vegas exists on algorithms. Every detail is optimized to extract money from tourists, from hourly price increases to the installation of chips that track consumer behavior in casinos. What was once hospitality has now become a tool for emotional manipulation. Many customers say they are stealthily tracked through loyalty programs, with promotions automatically adjusted to make them spend more, not unlike a psychological experiment wrapped in neon lights. According to data from the American Gaming Association in 2024, total revenue from non-gaming revenue, that is, sources of income outside of casinos, such as resort fees, dining, and entertainment, accounted for over 68% of the total profit of the entire strip, doubling compared to 2 decades ago. That number says one thing clearly: Vegas no longer lives off the games of chance, but off trapping the very people who believe they are being served. You can feel that change the moment you step foot here. Luxury, once implicit, has now become a stark performance. A series of new resorts have sprung up, brightly lit with LED lights, but they lack something Vegas once had: soul. Old icons like the Mirage or Flamingo are being replaced by a chain of anonymous hotels owned by financial corporations. Even grand structures like the Sphere, valued at over $2.3 billion, evoke a sense of emptiness, a glittering symbol of technology, but leaving no emotion other than the suffocating feeling of too much. The irony is, the more modern Vegas becomes, the more dehumanizing it is. Those who once made up the soul of the city, waiters, dealers, lounge singers, bartenders, are gradually disappearing. Many casinos are replacing humans with automated kiosk machines. A bartender can now be replaced by a robotic arm mixing cocktails throughout the evening. Hotels that once prided themselves on warm service are now automating everything: machine check-in, app-based payments, and even ordering food without having to see anyone. Convenient, perhaps. But that convenience has robbed Vegas of what once made it special: the human connection. But greed never stops at the boundaries of a city. That thirst for profit is spreading throughout the US tourism industry, from New York to Orlando, from Los Angeles to Miami. The hidden fees and phantom prices model pioneered by Vegas has now become the new norm. A norm that makes millions of visitors skeptical of every ticket, every bill, and every offer. In a way, Vegas didn't just sell its soul, it also taught the rest of America how to do the same. Vegas was once a symbol of freedom, a place where people could live their emotions to the fullest. But as neon lights became a symbol of greed, the real question was no longer, will tourists return, but rather, does Vegas still have enough soul to be worthy of forgiveness? And if even the city of joy can be turned into a soulless cash machine, what will happen to the rest of America, where hope was once the only game worth betting on? While the neon lights still glowed brightly on the Strip, few noticed that just a few blocks away, hundreds of people were struggling to survive, right in the shadow of the luxury hotels they once served. It's a bitter paradox of Las Vegas, a city built by the hands of tens of thousands of humble workers, yet they are the first to pay the price when a crisis hits. Throughout 2025, the number of homeless people in Clark County surpassed 9,106, the highest level in over a decade. Among them, nearly 30% had stable jobs in the service or tourism industries, the very jobs that were once the pride of this city. Many people are not committing crimes. They simply cannot afford rent after their hours are cut or they lose their jobs. While luxury resorts are reporting record profits, those who once served towels there are now sleeping in old cars or in makeshift tent cities under the I-15 overpasses. Such stories are no longer rare. When the number of customers declined, businesses began cutting staff, then automating all processes to save costs. Mixing robots, automated check-in counters, food delivery machines, all contribute to removing humans from the Las Vegas landscape. Meanwhile, the average rent in the area increased by 19% in just 3 years. The storm of high prices has left thousands of workers working full-time but still homeless. The temporary camps around downtown Las Vegas are expanding. They are located right beneath the dazzling billboards of Sphere or Wynn, which display images of happiness, luxury, and a reality completely foreign to what is just a few meters away. A volunteer at a homeless shelter said they are always overwhelmed. Every time there's a big event on the Strip, the number of people coming to us increases. Perhaps that's when they realize Vegas no longer had a place for them. The city was once built on the illusion that everyone has a chance to win. But when the system only serves the wealthy, Vegas is no longer a place for dreams. It's a place for losers. They didn't lose because they didn't try hard enough, but because the game had been rigged long ago. And the sad thing is, this pain is not confined to the city limits. As service industries contracted, thousands of families across Nevada lost their primary source of income. Funds for healthcare, schools, and social welfare, which depend on tourism taxes, also weakened. A vicious cycle is forming. The more the city tightens its belt, the poorer the people become, and the less reason tourists have to return. Amidst that whirlwind, there are small but precious rays of light. The MGM Resorts Foundation has expanded its Back on Your Feet program, which provides new skills training and emergency loans to laid-off employees. Meanwhile, 3 Square Food Bank, a local non-profit organization, has increased its food distribution capacity by 20% to meet growing demand. They weren't enough to save an entire city, but at least they still remind us that in the world of numbers, kindness still exists. Vegas may recover its statistics, visitor numbers, revenue, occupancy rates, but the real question lies elsewhere. Who will recover the people who lost everything to keep these lights on? And if this city is called Sin City, the three and now the free city and now sin and say, then perhaps the greatest sin isn't gambling, but rather that we allowed those people to disappear in silence. What's happening in Las Vegas is not just a local crisis. It's a mirror reflecting the entire United States, a country that once promised that if you just worked hard and were honest, you would be rewarded. But today, amidst the dazzling neon signs of the Strip, that promise is fading like neon lights as dawn breaks. The collapse of trust in Vegas didn't stop at the Nevada border. When an iconic city of prosperity begins to falter, its repercussions ripple across the American economy. The tourism industry, which once contributed over $2.35 trillion to the US GDP annually, is witnessing a quiet retreat from its most loyal customer base, the middle class and seniors. Those who once poured money into resorts, entertainment, and restaurants are now turning away, opting for shorter, less expensive vacations, or simply staying home. That change is creating a domino effect. A series of towns dependent on tourism began to share the same fate. In Florida, the number of international visitors decreased by 22% in the first half of 2025. In California, domestic travel spending decreased by 14%. And in New York, over 18% of mid-range hotels reported occupancy below 60%, the lowest level since the pandemic. Vegas may be the first domino to fall, but cracks are spreading across the map of America. Going deeper, this crisis is not just a story about economics, it's about values. Because when a city like Vegas collapses, what's lost isn't just tax revenue or jobs, but faith in the fair game, the principle that once shaped the American dream. For decades, Americans believed that no matter where you were, if you put in the effort, you would get a worthy result. But as Vegas, the city of chance and boldness, began to become a playground only for the wealthy, the unspoken message sent out was, "This game is no longer for you." Contrasting images are appearing more and more. Outside the Sphere, a $2.3 billion structure shining brightly in the desert, are long lines of homeless tents. Inside the casinos, the slot machines still clink and clatter, but each bell is a reminder of emptiness. Meanwhile, politicians continue to promise economic recovery, without anyone mentioning the recovery of confidence. But amidst that tragedy, there are still small efforts trying to mend the cracks. The Hilton Group has launched the Rebuilding Trust in Travel campaign, investing in staff training and improving transparent fee policies. American Express Travel has also begun promoting ethical destinations. Destinations that prioritize community and fair pricing. They couldn't turn the entire American tourism machine around, but they at least reignited the question that society as a whole has been avoiding. Do we want to save the tourism industry, or do we want to save the people within it? Is America heading into the very game that Vegas once lost? A game where everything has a price except human trust? If we don't stop soon, the next collapse might not be hotel buildings, but the very soul of the American dream. Vegas isn't just paying the price for its own greed. It's also inadvertently becoming a mirror for the entire United States. A city once built on dreams is now collapsing because of those very dreams. But what hurts the most isn't the collapse of an icon, but the feeling that this is just the beginning. If places once considered America's paradise are turning into soulless cash machines, what will happen when other cities start down that path? When people's trust is replaced by payment terms, when experience is reduced to numbers on a quarterly report? Are we still living in a country that values human worth? Will America still have the courage to ask again, how do we develop without losing our soul? Or should we keep betting, as Vegas once did, until there's nothing left to lose? If you believe stories like this are worth continuing, please like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching the entire video. See you in the next parts. The content in this video is created for the purpose of analysis, commentary, and providing a socio-economic perspective based on public data sources, official reports, and information compiled from mass media. All figures, statements, or examples mentioned are for reference only and reflect social phenomena. They do not represent any specific organization, business, or individual. All information in this video is compiled in a spirit of neutrality, humanity, and respect for the truth, with the aim of sparking dialogue, not to offend or mislead.